Good evening, Facebook Live. Apostle Terrence Lyons of Ecclesia Ministries here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Coming to you on tonight, bringing you tonight's Bible study. Pray that everything is going well for everyone. In just a minute, we'll lock some things down and we'll be ready to rock and roll. Hope everyone's had a good week and stepped into what God calls a new year. And hopefully everyone's prepared. Good evening there, Mr. Clarence. See you on there. Good evening, Pastor April. Pray that everyone, as you saw the firmaments of the heavens giving signs, that you paid more attention to what God calls time. Good evening there, Prophetess Tanisha. So hopefully understanding and recognizing that that was just a sign for everything happening and showing that there was something different going on. Good evening there, Overseer Melissa. Because as we get ready to go deeper into what this year signifies and how it's set up and what things are in place, it's going to be a very big deal there. I pray that as everyone has seen how the calendar time is set up and different things with the calendar that I sent out, hopefully everyone has been able to be aware of what is in place and how it actually lays out and works out there. Good evening there, sis. The reason that's important, and as we get deeper into this year, I'll be pointing out some things of why we need to pay a little closer attention. Because when you begin to see, starting the year out with an eclipse, that's an important deal. Starting the year out that he calls the year, not, and that's why it's very important, because as in times past and in years past, if you've noticed, the man-made holiday of Easter and the God-ordained feast day of Passover, they've been kind of close together. And in the process of them being kind of close together, it's been kind of a 6 of one, half a dozen of another type thing, because everything's right there close together and there's not really that big of a difference, and everybody's kind of, speaking their language of their beliefs all around the same time frame. But this year, with this year being a leap year, it's made a very, very distinct difference between the times of the man-made holiday and the God-ordained feast day. And that was on purpose, especially to then throw an eclipse in there too. Again, I'm not trying to beat up on anybody about celebrating Easter and any of that. That ain't what this is about. This is about the question that's on here tonight of, is the Lord on your team? And there's going to be some things that I'm going to point out tonight, and it's going to challenge some old doctrine. It's going to challenge some things that have been thought processes, because I've heard people teach it, and I'm like, I'm glad the God that I serve is not functioning like that, because if it was, we'd be in some mess. So I want to start out tonight. Excuse me. I want to start out tonight in the book of Exodus, chapter 11, verses 1 through 7. Go there first, and then we're going to go to the book of Acts, because I got to show you something about the Lord and what he's done, to fix it to where things stand out for us and work out for us, and a bunch of different things involved. But I need to lay this out, because as we get ready to kick off this coming Saturday, we're going to start looking at who's on your team. And over the next 2 to 3 weeks, that's what the Bible study question is going to be. Is like, tonight is the Lord on your team? And then the next week or so, or the week after, we'll be discussing is Holy Spirit on your team? And the religious zealot would say, well, if one's on there, then both's on there. Yeah, well, why ain't you listening? Why ain't you listening to them? Why aren't you getting different results? There's all kinds of questions I could pose to those that want to try to come at it that way. And that's why I've got it separated. But I want to begin to show you this tonight, because in the book of Exodus, chapter 11, get set up here. Book of Exodus, chapter 11, and beginning at verse 1, I'm going to read verse 1 down through verse 7. It says this, and the Lord said unto Moses, yet will I bring one plague more upon Pharaoh and upon Egypt. Afterwards he will let you go hence. When he shall let you go, he shall surely thrust you out hence altogether. Speak now in the ears of the people, and let every man borrow of his neighbor, and every woman of her neighbor, jewels of silver and jewels of gold. And the Lord gave the people favor in the sight of the Egyptians. Moreover, the man Moses was very great in the land of Egypt, in the sight of Pharaoh's servants, and in the sight of the people. And Moses said, thus saith the Lord, about midnight will I go out in the midst of Egypt, and all the firstborn in the land of Egypt shall die, from the firstborn of Pharaoh that sitteth upon his throne, even unto the firstborn of the maidservant that is behind the mill, and all the firstborn of beasts. And there shall be a great cry throughout all the land of Egypt, such as there was none like it, nor shall be like it any more. But against any of the children of Israel shall not a dog move his tongue against man or beast. Now watch the last part of this, because this is the key, and this is what I'm going to start building on for tonight. That ye may know how that, I says, the Lord, doth put a difference between the Egyptians and Israel. And see, it's important to understand what I'm about to show you here, because it says the Lord puts the difference in there. And see, he's made all of us different, and it's important for everyone to understand that your different is different from everybody else's different. Your different is different from everybody else's different. Okay? So I just need for y'all to type, I'm different. Just go ahead and own your difference. But you don't have to worry about pointing out that difference, because the Lord's going to put a difference between your difference and everybody else's difference. Because everybody's different. Everybody's different. But he's going to put a difference between everybody's difference. And the reason that is so important is because until you own your difference, then there's going to come a time that people are going to try to make your different like somebody else is different. And the differences are different, okay? And the reason that I need you to get this is because in verse 6, when he says, there shall be a great cry throughout all the land of Egypt, okay? So what he's about to show you is, I love y'all, okay? He's about to make a difference between the bondage you and the free you. See, some of you have been free, but you've still been functioning like you've been in bondage. You still got a mindset like you still being held back. And he's saying, I done cut you free, and you've been free, but your mind hadn't been. So now I need for y'all to type in, get your mind right. Get your mind right. See, you've been free, and truth be told, if you pay attention and if you've kind of caught on, since about Tuesday, there's been this different feeling in the air. It's been different. I've been on my calls, and even with the training that I had to do today and working with people, I've asked them, okay, since Tuesday, what's things felt like? What's been going on? And they're like, weird. You know, that's one of the answers that I got was it's kind of weird. It's kind of, yeah, because it's supposed to be, because he's doing what I'm reading to you right here, right now. See this time frame that this is happening, and it's around about the same time frame. Okay, and I've taught y'all, and I'm gonna keep teaching you that the spirits of a season always return. You ain't got to pray for them. You ain't got to ask for them. They gonna pop up. So the sense of what you're feeling in those moments and in those different times and seasons, when that pops up, you've got to understand, watch this, how does my difference work in this season? Ooh. Teach them, lions. How is my difference going to work this season? Because the way that your difference worked last season ain't going to be the same way that it works this season. It will still be that same difference. You still going to stand out. You still going to be different than everybody else. However, how your difference worked last season is not going to be the exact same way that your difference works this season. It's not wrong. It might not even, watch this, it might not even be outdated. This is why you got to have your mind right. Because the free you is going to have to function differently than the bondage you. That's why I want you to see that in verse 7. He says that you may know that the Lord, that's a capital L, capital O, capital R, capital D. That's the self-existent and eternal Jehovah, puts a difference between what's in bondage and what's free. Who's got the right mindset with the right level of maturity for the moment that they're in, or who's still being held back because they think that everyone around them is the hindrance of who they are. That's why you got to get your mind right. Because can't nobody stop you, but you. That's it. The enemy can't stop you. Haters can't stop you. Nobody can stop you but you. That's it. As you have accepted Christ as your Savior, as you have began to live like can't nobody stop you but you. That's it. Not your boo, not your smooth, not your boogaloo. Nobody can stop you but you. That's why you got to get your mind right. That's why it's important to know how to get your mind right and get your mind where it's supposed to be. Because, watch this. Now, I want you to go to the book of Acts, chapter 10, verses 34 and 35. Because I want to show you this in conjunction with this in Exodus so that you can see, watch this, the first point that I'm going to point out. Because, watch this. If you look at this, watch this, because this is the key. This is what I need you to catch right here. In the book of Acts, chapter 10, verse 34 and 35. Watch this. Acts chapter 10, verse 34 and 35. It says this. It says, then Peter opened his mouth and said, of a truth I perceive that God is no respecter of persons. In other words, he's not going to just give you favor just to be giving you favor because you're different. Because everybody's different. So he's not just doing something just to be doing something. And that's important to understand with this next part, because look at what he says with the next part. He says, but in every nation, he that feareth him. So in other words, he that reverences him, he that understands that he's loved by him, watch this, and loves him back, not to get him to do something for you, but because he's already loved you. Teach them lions. So when you go to do what you do with your different self, when you go to do what you do with your different self, you have to understand that you being in alignment with his will is what is required for you to get your difference. See, everybody's designed and set up to get the results of their difference and how it works. But each person has to work their difference the way that he's given them the way to work that difference. This is what I need y'all to get. See, the first point for tonight is when the Lord is on your team, he makes you different without being a respecter of persons. When the Lord is on your team, he makes you different without being a respecter of persons. See, and that's why when people are like, well, favor ain't fair. Yeah, it is. Because everybody's different. Ooh. I'm just messing with some folks' doctrine right now, but I don't even care. Because a lot of people will run around talking about favor ain't fair, favor ain't fair. Yeah, it is, because you ain't like nobody else. So when you do what he designed for you to do, then he's going to give you the favor that's designed for you to have. And when somebody else does what they're designed to do and what they're supposed to do, then they going to get favor too. And their favor ain't going to be like your favor. And since their favor ain't like your favor, and your favor ain't like their favor, then favor is fair, because my favor was made for me, and your favor was made for you. And the only person that can keep anybody from tapping into their favor is that person themselves. That's it. I know this is completely different than what people are taught and what people are teaching. But I got word backing up everything that I'm telling you right here, right now. That's why I wanted to show you that in Exodus 11, because he said, I know I made you different. He said, and even with things, watch this, that happen on a large scale, I'm still going to show how you're different. You just got to listen to what I'm telling you to do whenever that large scale thing is happening. Then, for those that don't know who he is, then it'll look like, oh, well, God was just being random when he gave out that favor. No, he wasn't. He wasn't being a respecter of persons, because that's not who he is. This is why this is so important, because I'm about to really step into something here in just a minute that's about to have all of everything just thrown out of whack. But because from what people have been taught and been teaching, because it's time to put this difference in place. It's time for these things that God is doing in this season with his people who fear him and who are seeking after his results. Watch this. And has him on their team. See, he already loved us. He's already chosen us. He's just wanting us to choose him back. That's why the question is like it is tonight. Because, see, I know what some of the religious zealots are going to do when they see that question up there. No, you on the lowest team. You got to be on the lowest team. I got you. He picked you first. He loved you first. The question is, are you acknowledging him? He's given you the life that you have. He's given you the breath that you breathe every morning. When you wake up, he already gave you that. What he's looking for is, will you acknowledge me back? He's saying, are you going to have me on your team today? Or are you going to run through your day without even hollering at me? See, now I'm really finna mess y'all up with what I'm going to have y'all to type right now. But I need for y'all to just type, holler back at him. Holler back at him. Holler back at him. He woke you up, holler back at him. He put a roof over your head, holler back at him. He got you in good health, holler back at him. He protected you, holler back at him. Just holler back at him, because he's hollering at you. Like I said, he woke you up, you're breathing, you're in your right mind. Just holler back at him. That's what he's wanting. He's wanting you to acknowledge him in all your ways, and he will direct your path. He's just saying, holler back at me and I'll show you. But you just been taking off, running off, doing things on your own. And like, man, well, just holler back at him. And when you holler back at him, then he gonna holler back at you. And holler, holler, everything gonna be holler, holler. He holler at you, you holler back at him. And everything will begin to function, watch this, completely different. Because you different with your different self. Yes, I'm clowning. I got to, because this is what I need for you to understand. Now, I want you to go to the book of Galatians chapter 1, and we're going to look at verses 9 through 18. Galatians chapter 1, verses 9 through 18, because I want you to see something. Because you're going to have some people looking at you different because you're different. Yes, I'm clowning. I'm meddling. People are going to look at you different because you're different. It's okay. See, you getting offended. They just see that you're different. So they're going to look at you different because you're different. Okay, cool. This is what I need you to get. So in Galatians chapter 1, verses 9 through 18, watch this. Galatians chapter 1, verses 9 through 18, it says this. Watch this, because this is major key, because I'm about to show you something. Galatians chapter 1, verse 9 through 18, it says, as we said before, so say I now again, if any man preach any other gospel unto you than that you have received, let him be accursed. See, so the religious zealots would tell you, see, because when you go back and try to tell them and explain to them what I'm explaining, no, he's out there. That ain't what that means, okay? Front to back, I can show you everything that I show you. Ask them to show you from Old Testament to New Testament some of the stuff that they've been saying to you, and they'll tell you, well, we're a New Testament church. And if anybody tells you that, they need to be sent packing. Yes, I said that. Here's why. When the scripture is telling you that in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. So that's being said in the New Testament. That's being said in John. So John's telling you in the beginning was the Word. Now here's what's going to mess you up and what's going to make them be real mad at you, because I'm telling you how to pin them in the corner and then get them to shut up about saying they're only a New Testament church. So if you're only a New Testament church, when the sun shines, when the moon comes out, when the grass grows, when all of that stuff happens, those things are only mentioned in the Old Testament. So if you just a New Testament church, the sun, the moon, the stars, the grass, and all of that stuff, you can't use that. You ain't allowed to use that because you just New Testament. Oh yeah, I told y'all I'm messing with some stuff tonight. If that is making sense to you, just send me some kind of sign that it's making sense to you, because I can break that down even farther if I need to before I dig into this next part. Because what I need to make sure that everybody's getting about tonight is that if the Lord's on your team, then you acknowledge him, watch this, even for the times that when you didn't acknowledge him. Like what? So even when you wasn't paying him attention, even when you wasn't knowing who he is and how he functions, he was still taking care of you. So that will be the Old Testament you. So if all you trying to acknowledge is what's in the New Testament, then all of that stuff that got created back in the old, you ain't allowed to use that. You can't reference it. You don't talk about it in no way, shape, form, fashion. You're going to have to go on and make up your own new world for your New Testament self. Now, again, ain't nobody going to say it to you like that. That's why my different self will say it to you just like that. So this is why I want you to get this, because what he goes on and says here begins to lay the groundwork for why I needed to express what I just expressed. Because he goes on and he says, in verse 10, he says, "For do I now persuade men or God?" Uh-oh. That's why I said, is the Lord on your team? He says, do I now persuade men or God? Or do I seek to please men? For if I yet pleased men, I should not be the servant of Christ. Look at what else gets said right here. He says, "But I certify you, brethren, that the gospel which was preached of me is not after man." So that's one thing y'all can say about Terrence Lyons. Y'all know I ain't been worried about making anybody happy about what I have to preach. I try to make sure that it's clear. Now, I do that because that's my job. That's part of my job, is making sure that it's expressed clearly. But once I've did what I'm supposed to do in expressing it clearly, if it hurts your feelings, sorry about that. I love you, but that's all I can really do, because it's not about pleasing everybody. It's not about keeping it sugar coated. It's not about making you feel good. It's about getting you righteous. That's what it's about. When I'm opening my mouth and when I'm bringing the word, when I'm counseling, when I'm talking, when I'm teaching, I'm just trying to get righteousness activated. That's it. Righteousness of his kingdom. That's what I'm after. So in the process of establishing that righteousness, some feelings gonna get hurt, some toes gonna get stepped on, all of that. But this is why I gotta get you to get this, because this is what's about to make it make sense to you. He goes on, he says, "Certify you, brethren, the gospel which was preached of me is not after man. For I neither received it of man, neither was I taught it, but by the revelation of Jesus Christ." That's one thing that no one, and when I say no one is going to be able to say that they trained me and that they are the ones that graduated me or tutored me in the kingdom revelation. Can't nobody take credit for it. No Bible college, no university, no none of that. It might have been something that God imputed in me when I quit breathing when I was younger. I don't know. All I know is I ain't been in no school. I ain't been in none of that. I was under Apostle Ron Carpenter for roughly about 6 to 8 years of going back and forth to his ordinations and those things. But as far as sitting down and giving me information and what I know about time and season and what I know about the word of God and his kingdom, nobody can take credit for that but him. For 2 years straight, I was up at 4:30 a.m. I lived without a telephone for 2 years straight with small children. Me and the Lord, him giving me, him showing me, him imparting into me. That's where everything that I teach you, that's where it comes from. Him. And he's still pouring that out in me. And he's still giving me that on a consistent basis. Watch this. Because I got him on my team. When I realized that he was waiting on me to acknowledge him back and learned that ain't stopped. That, once I saw that and he showed me that and revealed that to me, I was like, oh no, this ain't getting let go right here. This right here. I will live like this until I'm no longer living. That's how I latched on to that and was like, if I have to be the one to initiate that part, then okay, I see that. And then when I kept doing it and kept doing it and kept doing it and kept doing it and still doing it, I was like, okay, yeah, this is where the difference comes in. Here's why. And this is why I wanted you to see it. Because when he says, neither was I taught it, but by the revelation of Jesus Christ, for you have heard of my conversation in time past in the Jews' religion, how that beyond measure I persecuted the church of God and wasted it, and profited in the Jews' religion above many my equals in mine own nation, being more exceedingly zealous of the traditions of my fathers. But when it pleased God, watch this part right here. When it pleased God, who separated me from my mother's womb. Wait a minute. Time out. Separated me from my mother's womb. Okay. So he's trying to show you something here. It says, who separated me from my mother's womb and called me, watch this, by his grace. Not by his works, not by his trainings, not by his teachings, by his grace. Which is the same way he called me. Because I done plenty enough stuff that I shouldn't have been the one that he's using to preach no good gospel or nothing. I did my share, and before you go judging, you did your share too. But this is why I need you to get this. He says, to reveal his son in me. He doesn't say reveal his son to me. He said reveal his son in me. That's very important. Not reveal his son to me. Reveal his son in me. Now, let's talk. Now, let's dig. Because he goes on and he says this. He says, to reveal his son in me that I might preach him among the heathen. Immediately, I conferred not with flesh and blood. So he's saying, I didn't go worry about getting into the hottest and latest Bible college and all that. I didn't go worry about getting into the hottest and latest seminary. Forgive me. I wasn't trying to pick on nobody, but this is what I need you to get. He then says, watch this. He then says, neither went I up to Jerusalem to them which were apostles before me. So even the ones that were with Jesus. And that's why I love the Apostle Paul, because the revelation that the Apostle Paul receives wasn't predicated upon him having and lived in the presence of Jesus Christ in the flesh. It comes by the Spirit and his interaction on the road to Damascus. Because look at what else he says. Neither went up to Jerusalem with them which were apostles before me, but I went into Arabia and returned again unto Damascus. Watch this. It's in verse 18. This is the key. He says, then after 3 years, I went up to Jerusalem to see Peter and abode with him 15 days. See, what some of you are running into right now, God has shown you something right where you stand. And you have now had to go back and interact with somebody who's held a position for quite some time. And what God's revealed to you and how they see things are different right now. So this is what leads to my next point that I need to make sure that you get. Don't let someone's perception of your new process be your truth. See, because some of you, this just started this week. It literally started right around Tuesday. And you had to encounter some people in meetings and different things and over Zoom calls. And it just, they started looking at you a little sideways about your difference. They started being a little different towards you about your difference. But my thing for you is the Lord on your team? Because he's going to show you how to deal with them about your difference. All I need to do is make sure that you are not letting someone's perception of your new process be your truth. Don't change it to try to please them. Make sure that you keep doing it to please him. This is why you got to understand this. So now I'm finna go to meddling. I'm finna go to meddling in some stuff. I'm finna go to meddling into some old school teachings that a lot of people received, and I don't care, because I had to get to the place of when God began to stir things up inside of me because of different things that people would teach and say. I had to get before him and be like, Lord, I don't mind being wrong. If I'm wrong about this, show me. But if this is what you are giving me, then give me a way to deliver it so that they can receive it. So here's what started to happen. I now want you to go to the book of 2 Chronicles, chapter 29, verses 10 through 19. Because I'm about to meddle with some of y'all, because I'm wanting you to understand what God's really been doing with you pretty much over the past 2 to 3 months. It's like 2 to 3 months. First you was talking 2 to 3 days. Now you're saying 2 to 3 months. Yeah, I'm about to show you what was happening with you. In 2 Chronicles, chapter 29, verse 10 through 19, it says this. 2 Chronicles, chapter 29, verses 10 through 19, says this. It says, now it is in mine heart to make a covenant with the Lord God of Israel. I want you to notice that. This is Hezekiah speaking, but I want you to notice how that's said. He says, it's in my heart to make a covenant with the Lord. And like I said, a lot of people will teach it. It's vice versa. And it is, but that ain't all. So y'all typed it in for me. That ain't all. He does love us and reaches out to want to make covenant with us, but that ain't all. He said, I want you to make covenant with me. I see, what would it be like in a lot of these marriages if it was only one vow, one set of vows, one way? See, it just clicked for some of you. What kind of marriage would it be if there was only one set of vows? Now, truth be told, that's the way some of them been functioning, but one keep the vows and one don't. But what I'm saying is, if there was not an exchange of vows between both, if there was not something vowed from one to the other, from spouse, watch this, from husband to the wife and from wife to husband, if there was only one set, it would make no sense, right? So this is why I want you to get this, because now let's dig. He says, now it is in mine heart to make a covenant with the Lord God of Israel, that his fierce wrath may turn away from us. Now, it's dangerous because a lot of people think, well, you got to do this to keep him from doing this. Well, if you were in the right position, there wouldn't even be that wrath part to worry about, but I want to show you this. So he goes on and he says, my sons, be not now negligent, for the Lord hath chosen you to stand before him, to serve him, that you should minister unto him and burn incense. Then the Levites arose, Mahath, the son of Amasai, Joel, son of Azariah, of the sons, watch this, of the sons of the Kohathites, and of the sons of Merari, Kish, the son of Abdi, Azariah, the son of Jehaleel, and of the Gershonites, Joah, the son of Zimmah, and Eden, the son of Joah, and of the sons of Elizaphan, Shimri, Jael, and of the sons of Asaph, Zechariah, and Mattaniah, and of the sons of Heman, Jehiel, and Shimei, and of the sons of Jeduthun, Shemaiah, and Uzziel. And they gathered their brethren, and sanctified themselves. Watch this. And came according to the commandment of the king by the words of the Lord to cleanse the house of the Lord. So he got specific people to clean it up. And see, I know that that's part of what he's used me to do, because I tried to get into what I thought was going to be educating me and positioning me and doing me to. So it wasn't that I didn't pursue going to Bible college. It wasn't that I didn't pursue going to seminary. It wasn't that I didn't pursue those things. It's just in the pursuit, God said, no, you're not doing that. And I'm trying to do it. I'm trying to go and I'm trying to get connected with people so that they could train me. And literally everybody that I pursued to train me biblically, everybody that I pursued to try to help give me the favor needed to get into certain places, everybody that I pursued either moved or died. And that was enough to scare me. That was enough to get me to say, whoa, hold up. And then that's when he began to explain to me, nobody is going to take credit for who you are in my kingdom except me. That's it. So I will connect you with certain people. I will guide you to certain people. But it's just going to be me and you. And that scared me. That really scared me. Because, like I said, you want me to say this, so I'm going to say it. So there were people that came to me and asked me information. They had many of years of experience. They had many of years of different things ahead of me. Some were in ministry. Some were in the corporate world. But 3 separate situations. Some people came to me and they asked me, they said, we feel like the Lord sent us to you for you to give us counsel in this. I gave them the counsel. And within 3 days, when they did not apply the counsel, they died. That scared me. That scared me. That scared me in a way that I didn't want to help nobody. There was a pocket of time I was like, I'm not telling nobody nothing. I'm not answering no questions. That scared me. And that's one of the reasons why there's nothing else in life now that even shakes me or bothers me, because those 3 instances changed me. Like I said, y'all forgive me for getting emotional just a minute ago, but that is still there. That reverence of, that changed everything for me. So the sanctification, the process that he's been taking some of you through the past 2 to 3 months, that's why you haven't been able to get in touch with who you normally used to get in touch with. That's why you hadn't been able to hang out and talk with who you used to talk with. That's why you haven't been able to get into the quote unquote, for lack of a better term, get into the groove of information that you were used to functioning by over the past 2 to 3 months. It's because he was sanctifying you to get you ready to come into this year. He was putting you in a place to where he was showing you that there's a difference of your difference. So this is why I want you to get this. Let me go ahead and get into this, because it says, gathered their brethren, sanctified themselves, and came according to the commandments of the king by the words of the Lord to cleanse the house of the Lord. And the priest went into, watch this, the inner part of the house of the Lord to cleanse it, and brought out all the uncleanness that they found in the temple of the Lord into the court of the house of the Lord. And the Levites took it to carry it out abroad into the brook Kidron. Now they began on the first day of the first month. That was Tuesday. Look at what it says. They began on the first day of the first month to sanctify, and on the 8th day of the month came they to the porch of the Lord. And they sanctified the house of the Lord in 8 days. Watch this. And in the 16th day of the first month, they made an end. So they started it out with the first 8. And then they went 8 more. So I'm going to give y'all a date. And for those of you that have followed Ecclesia at any amount of time, you know that when I give a specific date, there's a reason. So I need for y'all to make note of April the 24th. And that's got a special reasoning and special day for even some of you that are on here, some of you that are connected to Ecclesia. But this time, it's real special, because it sets up with this time frame right here. And that ain't always been the time frame. It ain't always went this way. So this is what I need for you to get. Because when he says on the 16th day, that's going to be, like I said, April the 24th this year. They don't always line up like that, but that's how it lines up this year. So this is what I need for you to get, and this is what I need for you to see. Because he says, Now they began on the first day of the first month to sanctify, and on the 8th day of the month came they to the porch of the Lord. So they sanctified the house of the Lord in 8 days, and in the 16th day of the first month they made an end. Then they went into Hezekiah the king and said, we have cleansed all the house of the Lord and the altar of burnt offering with all the vessels thereof and the showbread table and with all the vessels thereof. Now, this is why I need you to get this, because I said 18, but I want to read 19 as well. It says, moreover, all the vessels which King Ahaz in his reign did cast away in his transgression have we prepared and sanctified, and behold, they are before the altar of the Lord. So what they done was things that were previously done wrong, they cleaned them up. They cleaned them up. They rededicated them. The past 2 to 3 months, that's why you've been wanting to do things a different way. That's why you've had a stronger desire to get certain things done. Because what was happening was he was setting up the sanctification. Somebody just heard what I just said. He was setting up the sanctification so that you could get to this point. Because what God's doing with this year is he's accelerating some things. He's speeding some processes up. And as he's accelerating those things and speeding those processes up, what he's wanting to make sure of is that sanctified vessels are the ones that's functioning in what's being done. See, because for my third point, to have the Lord on your team, you have to set aside what he wants set aside. See, and a lot of people, listen close to what I'm fixing to say. A lot of people will only equate that to money. A lot of the pastors will only equate that to the tithe. You need to make sure you're setting aside the tithe. He wants you set aside first. Because then once he sets you aside, then you ain't going to have no problem setting the stuff aside. You're not going to have any problem sanctifying everything else about your process. So I need for y'all to type in for me, I'm set aside. That's what he's been doing with you. And if he hadn't been, he just had me just break that down to you so that you could get it now. I'm set aside. And from tonight on, and especially up through the 24th, you need to understand, you set aside. You're set aside. He's like, I'm sanctifying you in a way that you haven't been sanctified before. I'm doing something with you this time that's different from last time. So this is why I got to get this to you and get this last point in, because when I break off what I'm about to break off, you're going to know for sure that you got the Lord on your team. So now I need you to go to the book of Genesis, chapter 4, verses 1 through 8. And then we're also going to look at a passage in 2 Corinthians. But I got to break down Genesis chapter 4 first, because this is one of the places that a lot of people have taught erroneously some wrong things and put a wrong level and wrong type of fear in the people of God. Because They see God, ain't no other way for me to say it, because they see God as an unjust God. The way that a lot of people have taught the passage in Genesis 4, verses 1 through 8, they teach it like he's an unjust God. And you'll understand what I'm talking about when I show this to you. So in the book of Genesis, chapter 4, verses 1 through 8, says this. Genesis chapter 4, verses 1 through 8, says this. It says, and Adam knew Eve, his wife, and she conceived, and bare Cain, and said, I have gotten a man from the Lord. Wait a minute, time out. Cain, not Abel. Cain. I have gotten a man from the Lord. And again, she bare his brother, Abel. And Abel was a keeper of sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground. And this is where they start getting erroneous with it, because they focus on, he needed the blood of a lamb, and he needed, and this is why his, watch, let me read it, and then I'm going to deal with that. It goes on, and he says, and in process of time, it came to pass that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground an offering unto the Lord. And Abel, he also brought of the firstlings of his flock and of the fat thereof. And the Lord had respect. Now remember, we just read earlier, he's not a respecter of persons. So look at what happens. Had respect unto Abel and to his offering, but unto Cain and to his offering he had not respect. Now, wait a minute. Why didn't he have respect? Let me read the rest of it, and then we're going to go back and we're going to break it down. It then says, and Cain was very wroth, and his countenance fell. And the Lord said unto Cain, why art thou wroth? And why is thy countenance fallen? If thou doest well, shall thou not be accepted? And if thou doest not well, sin lieth at the door, and unto thee, there's that word, shall be his desire. And thou shalt rule over him. And Cain talked with Abel, his brother, and it came to pass, when they were in the field, that Cain rose up against Abel, his brother, and slew him. So here's what we got to deal with. Why did he have respect for Abel's offering and didn't have respect for Cain's offering? The erroneous teaching that is out there is that because he needed a blood sacrifice. Okay, if that was the case, what you're saying to me is he's the one, because it says Cain, look at what it says, a man from the Lord. So a man from the Lord, wait a minute. So the Lord sends him unequipped and then punishes him for it? No. Can't be. I'm not going for that. So you saying to me, the Lord's going to hold me accountable, watch this, for what I don't have. He's holding me accountable and giving me consequences and not giving me respect for what I don't have. Nah. The God I serve, that ain't how he rolled. That ain't how that goes. I'm going to show you why he didn't have respect for Cain. Look in verse 3. It says, in process of time. So after a while, he brought the Lord an offering. He didn't bring him the first fruit. After a while, he brought him an offering. Look at what it says. In process of time. That phrase, process of time, means the extremity of that time. Meaning he pushed it. He dragged his feet. He waited until almost the last minute and then said, here you go, Lord. Not the first, the leftovers. So I need for y'all to type that in. Quit giving God leftovers. That's what's been going on. That's why you had to go through the sanctification the past 2 to 3 months. You've been giving him the leftovers. And he's saying, no, leftovers ain't going to work for this right here. I got eclipses happening at the exact point of a year starting. I'm showing you that this one ain't like the last one. I'm showing you this season ain't like the last season. So you got to quit giving God the leftovers. He's saying, you've been waiting to see what you got left. He said, give me what's first and you'll have extra left. See, because what he's looking for is he's saying, when you put me first, I'm going to show you how I'm going to magnify your difference. I'm going to show you how I'm going to magnify your difference. So he's saying, don't wait through the process of time. Don't wait through that. He said, I need for you to give me the first. Because when you give him the first, you'll never be last. Woo! See, and I promise, I ain't talking past April. See, I see that she just typed in that they were studying about. I ain't talked to her. So this is what I need for you to get. This is what I need for you to understand. So now I want you to go to the book of 2 Corinthians chapter 8, verses 7 through 15. And then I'm going to give you the last point. And we're going to ride this thing out, because I need to know, is the Lord on your team? I need to know how you're acknowledging him. See, you're acknowledging him like he's the last one of a pickup game of basketball, like he can't play. If y'all done played pickup basketball or any kind of pickup kickball, whatever, the ones that can't kick, the ones that can't shoot, they the last ones to get picked. That's how y'all been treating God. You've been making him the last one picked. But this is why I need you to get this, because something different finna happen now. Watch this. So in the book of 2 Corinthians, chapter 8, watch this. 2 Corinthians chapter 8, verse 7 through 15. Says this. Says, therefore, as you abound in everything, in faith and utterance and knowledge and in all diligence and in your love to us, see that you abound in this grace also. I speak not by commandment, but by occasion of the forwardness of others, and to prove the sincerity of your love. For you know the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, that though he was rich, yet for your sakes he became poor, that ye through his poverty might be rich. And herein I give my advice, for this is expedient for you, who have begun before, not only to do, but also to be forward a year ago. Now therefore perform the doing of it, that as there was a readiness to will, so there may be a performance also, watch this, out of that which you have. Okay? That's important. Out of what you have. Not what you're going to get. Out of what you have. So a lot of people's mindset is, well, I'll start giving to the Lord, or I'll start giving to the church, or I'll start tithing when he's saying, do wherever you at right now. Start right where you at. If you will start right where you at, watch how I will begin to shift everything for you. Put me on your team. He's saying, put me in, coach. That's what God is saying to you. He's saying, put me in. He's saying, let me, you acknowledge me, put me first, and watch what happens with the rest of what you do. You can't make a decision, put me first. You don't know what to do with what you get paid, put me first. I'll show you how to carry this out, but you got to put me first. And you keep waiting. You keep pulling a cane. Don't pull a cane right here. He's saying, don't pull a cane right here. Because in this place right here is where I'm ready to advance you beyond any place you've ever been before. I'm trying to take you to a place that you ain't ever seen before. But I need for you to acknowledge me in a way that you ain't acknowledged me before either. And this is what he's explaining to them from a giving standpoint. Because this is what I want you to get, because I ain't even got to the main verse that I want you to see. He goes on and he says, now therefore, watch this. Now therefore, perform the doing of it, as there was a readiness to will, so there may be a performance also out of that which you have. Verse 12, you need to highlight, dog ears, triple scribble, do whatever you need to do to remember. Verse 12, he says, for if there be first a willing mind. Watch this. This is crucial. He says, if there be first a willing mind, it is accepted according to that a man hath, and not according to that he hath not. So that whole deal with Cain and Abel, he's saying, I'm doing this based on what you got, not what you don't got. And that's what he's addressing right here. He's saying, if you got a willing mind, I know I made you a tiller of the ground. I'm not going to hold you accountable for not having a blood sacrifice. I'm the one that made you a tiller of the ground. So since I made you a tiller of the ground, because you are a man from the Lord, I need for you to just acknowledge me and don't drag your feet about it. If you don't drag your feet about it, now I'll give you favor. I'll give you favor just like I gave him favor. Because I'm just after a willing mind. I'm not after the stuff. So y'all type that in. He, meaning God, he ain't after your stuff. Because it ain't yours anyway, it's his. So he ain't after the stuff. He's wanting to be on your team. Look at what else he said. He says, for I mean not that other men be eased and ye be burdened, but by an equality that now at this time your abundance may be a supply for their want, that their abundance also may be a supply for your want, that there may be equality. As it is written, he that had gathered much had nothing over, and he that gathered little had no lack. So look at what God does there. He said, okay, you think you're going to just hoard up and you leaving me out and you ain't putting me on your team, and you just going out and you're working all of them hours and you're doing all of those extra, and you can't even sleep, and you're doing overtime, and you're wore out and all of that, and you still ain't got nothing extra. You still ain't got nothing extra. And he's saying, so why don't you try this? Put me first, and then watch what happens. Watch what happens when you put me first. See, I wanted you to see those two passages in correlation and connection so that I could give you this last point and then help you understand why I'm talking about this right now. He says the timing of your obedience houses your outcome. The timing of your obedience houses your outcome. That's why I wanted you to see Cain and Abel. The scripture clearly says, with Abel, his offering, which was the firstling, God had respect. With Cain, whose offering was after a process of time, he didn't have respect. So the timing of your obedience houses your outcome. That's why he's having me tell you about this during this time of sanctification now. This is the first part of a new year. He's saying, acknowledge me. He's saying, put me first. Give me of these first fruits and watch what I do for the rest of your year. Watch how I manage this. And then if you'll make this a practice in everything that you do, watch how things start to change there. That's why my life is the way that it is. When I wake up in the morning, I'm like, all right, Lord, how we doing this today? What we doing today? And there's sometimes I know beforehand, sometimes I don't know. And I'm okay with that. Because either way, I'm acknowledging him. Because he on my team. I'm on his and he on mine. See, we all on his, but is he on ours? Ooh, teach him wise. We all on his. That's why we got breath. That's why we got life. That's why we living. That's why we walking around. But he's saying, will you let me on your team? Yeah. Will you acknowledge me? Will you put me first? Because I know I'm on your team. Watch this. Will you put me first? He said, I know I'm on your team when you put me first. When you wake up in the morning, I know I'm on your team. You're on my team because I woke you up. That's how you know you're on my team. He said, but I need to know, am I on your team? So will you seek me on how you carry out your day? Will you seek me on how you focus and handle your money? Will you seek me on how you handle your relationship? Will you seek me on how you handle your health? Will you seek me on am I on your team? Saturday morning, we're doing a new thing. We are going to be meeting at the Ramada Inn, located at the corner of Rutherford Boulevard and South Church Street. I'm going to be posting the actual address and everything. But this coming Saturday, April 13th, going to be round about 10ish, and the only I'm saying it that way because this is our first time there, so I don't know. I'm not going to try to give a precise time. Once we get there and get a routine and know how it's set up, how it works, I'll be able to give more solid times and then be able to let you know exactly what time we'll be coming online and all of that kind of stuff as the Lord leads and guides. But we're going to plan to be there around about 10ish sometime before, get all of that, get everything set up, see how we're going to set things up. We've never been to this place before. We've never functioned it. We've never did this way like this. And like I said, next week, then we'll be in Shelbyville. We'll be in a different spot, and then we'll have to do it again. And we're going to have to find out those details. So I'm not, everybody, y'all should know me. Those of you that's been around, you know me. If I could give you the details, you'd have them. But this is how God's doing this. And I trust him. And I'm thankful because he's on my team. And I'm on his. So Saturday morning, Ramada Inn. We do plan to come online on exclusive Ecclesia. Like I said, the goal is 10:30-ish and all of that, but that may be pushed back some. We got to see how we're going to set up. We got to see how we're going to do these things and all of that. So again, y'all just bear with me. Just trust. We're going to pin it down, and once we pin it down and set it up like the Lord wants it set up, then we'll have us a flow. We'll have some more detail. We'll have some things in place, and we'll kind of go from there. So, yeah, exciting things coming, big things coming. Just make sure as they come that he's on your team. He's got you different for a difference. And it's okay. Keep being different. I know this is different. I know this is how these types of things work. Y'all just stick with me. We go places. We go on to higher heights. And as we do, I want all of y'all to be blessed just like we're going to be blessed. Because there's going to be something for everybody to share. Everybody going to advance in their difference. Everybody. Because that's the goal in kingdom. It's not just me advancing. It's not just us advancing. It's everyone advancing. So that's the goal. And that's what's going to happen. We just got to get the details figured out. And once we get the details figured out, I'll lay it out to you. We'll pin it out, and we're going to move forward in it. Because, yeah, by the 24th, there's going to be some major things that everybody's able to see have transitioned in your life. And I'm going to do my part to help navigate you through it and get you secure in it, get you blessed in it. The blessing of the Lord, it maketh rich, adds no sorrow with it. So trying to do this with there being no sorrow. And I know soon we're going to be working and we're going to be in our own building. That's what I'm really believing for, but we got to be faithful with other folk building first. We got to do whatever he's given us to do in other ways. So that's what we're doing. We're playing that out. We're handling that. We're managing that. Growing mightily. Got some other things will be getting announced and all of that fun stuff. So yeah, different season. Excited. Looking forward to the fullness of blessing happening in everyone's life. So Saturday morning, again, if you're not going to be there in person with us, give us some minutes and then look for us on exclusive. We're going to try to be as close to 10:30 as possible. It may end up being between 10:30 and 11. I don't know, but just stick with us. I promise we're going to do what we can, make sure that everything is efficient as we can, but I got to find out first. And then once we know, oh yeah, the kingdom of heaven is at hand. So I love you guys. Thank y'all for sticking with us tonight. Remember, our points were, when the Lord is on your team, he makes you different without being a respecter of persons. Don't let someone's perception of your new process be your truth. To have the Lord on your team, you have to set aside what he wants set aside. And the timing of your obedience houses your outcome. So I love you guys. Thank y'all for hanging out with us on tonight. Look forward to seeing or hearing or seeing you online Saturday of some kind of way. But I love you all. Y'all have a blessed rest of the evening. Peace.